Okay, so welcome to the masterclass, Nick. Thanks for joining.
That's all right.
So I'm just going to share my screen with you, and then maybe just talk a little bit about A Course in Miracles to start with. Given that you've had a little dive into it, so how familiar are you with the course? Not that familiar. You just sort of heard about it the other night.
No. Yeah, so I literally sort of went on the akim.com and looked at a few, step 1 and step 2. And then the reader, I can't remember his name because it was on YouTube. He was just talking about perception and the realization that, what we see isn't real. So I was sort of watching a half hour and sort of got into that. And you're very right. It's a lot to take in, and your brain doesn't, like you say, the language that they use it can be a bit daunting, but I think as long as you take it one step at a time, it becomes a bit clearer. And also, like you alluded to the other day, it's, just keep going back, and I think it will sort of come to you. But yeah, I found it really interesting. Like I say, today I just did step 1.
Lesson 1.
Lesson 1, just did that in the morning, did it in the afternoon. And as I said, it was very, very strange to have this calmness, when I was feeling, a bit anxiety. And I had some messages come through from the life builder on my phone. So I just parked up somewhere, did some deep breathing exercises, did that. And that relieved it. But as soon as I was, nothing, everything is sort of, meaningless, or, the lesson
Nothing
1, what I was doing, I did. Nothing I see means anything. And so I was just doing that within my vehicle and then not on the outside. And I did it in the evening, the afternoon, and it was just a total calmness. And it's still a calmness around me now. And there's a lot more happier. There's I would say a happier sense. I can't describe. It's not a happy sense, but it's I don't know how to describe. I'm not sad, but it's not a happy as in I'm sort of jolly. But that's how it's made me feel all day, which is really strange. So, like I say, I'm quite pleased with that. So, I may do lesson 2 tomorrow and just read from that and just do it again. But like I say, if along the way it gets a bit too much, then I'll just go back to number 1 and I'll work through it. And that's how I sort of tend to do it. Sometimes when you read a book, it's always best to go back to the beginning, read it again, and you start to understand a bit more about it, because you miss a lot when you're reading. I don't think the brain always sort of takes it all in. But yeah, it was when I was listening to that guy last night, he was talking about perception and,
Was it David Hoffmeister?
That's it, yeah, David Hoffmeister, yeah. And he was sort of saying, until you realise that everything, perception is just, an illusion, or, until you break that, which again, trying to process that into your brain is seems quite difficult. But yeah, like I said, I'd rather, always start at the beginning, and I may go back, but it has been the weirdest feeling all day, doing that in the morning and then doing it again in the afternoon. So yeah, it's really sort of got to me for this path, because I think the problem is with the spiritual path, you can read so much, you can hear from, if you want to call them spiritual healers, and they say certain things, but again, in my mind, or whatever's saying in my mind, saying it just isn't for me, so it may be a spiritual path to get to the same end goal, I guess. But this one, like I say, it's sort of really starting to hit home better than what anything else has done. I'd still meditate and things like that, but reading too much, which is easy to do nowadays on the internet, about spiritual guides and what you're here for, and etc. But this one was totally different, and that's what I like about it. It's almost, for me, it's telling it how it really is. For me, somebody else may say no, it's I'm a twin flame or this, that, and the blah blah blah. But this one was totally different, and that's why that's why I'm here basically. So
resonated, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
resonated.
my own experience of the course has been finally, I was looking for the truth, as we all do.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, okay, so what is it? You've read various books. I read Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now and Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh and various others, Urantia book and Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. And, I pretty much read everything spiritual I could get my hands on for a few years.
Yeah.
And I was sort of hinting at something, but I was missing. It's like, I'm just not quite, getting it. What is the whole truth? And so I asked, I said, well, okay, like, give it to me. Like, I want to know the truth. And then along comes the course. And, it doesn't mince its words. He's telling you very, very, very straight and very straight language. Although it's high English, but conceptually, there's no ambiguity. He's not fudging things. There's a very clear distinction between truth on the one hand and illusion. And that's the whole basis of the teaching. So you can't reconcile this. Almost every spiritual path and teaching, and certainly formal religions, what they do is they mix the truth and illusion. So it's a bit of truth, there's a bit of illusion. It's all kind of mixed in, and then it gets very confusing. Well, what is actually the truth? What is real? Because there seem to be contradictions. This is why they're contradictions that we can perceive. And then religions say, well, it's just a mystery. You don't question because it's a mystery. We can't understand these things. What I liked about the course is it's actually a very simple, pure logic. It's based on this pure logic. Look, there's only one thing that's real, and that's love, or oneness, or God. Call it whatever you want. There's a presence, and that the awareness of that is the only true reality. Everything else is false. Everything else is illusion. And so that's the metaphysics of the whole thing. Now, you might say, well, that's all very well and good, but I'm apparently living in a so-called real world, and I have a body, and I have a life, and I have relationships, and I have challenges, so on. So how do I actually live this? And that's why we need a mind training course, like a Course in Miracles, to train us systematically how to actually apply this non-dual, it's a pure non-dual teaching. No, none of this is true. Only love is true. How do you apply that into your life? How do you actually live in a happy, peaceful, functional way in this world? And that's why there's a mind training program that Yeshua has given us, which is 365 lessons, which are the application of the theory. So, okay, well, you're actually going to apply this to your life, to the situations that arise in your life, which is very practical. So it's got quite a unique structure. I'll just share my screen quickly with you.
Actually, just quickly hit on the word that I'm looking for. Today was peaceful. That was the exact word. It was a peaceful day, or I felt peace inside, which was a nice feeling. So
that's what we were looking for. You can call it peace or happiness, love, but in the end, it's an experience where we feel I'm at peace, I'm at rest. I'm not necessarily ecstatic with joy. That can happen sometimes.
Absolutely,
but just an underlying foundational peace, and that's what everyone really wants. And very few people in this world seem to be able to stay in that state for very long. So it's an unusual state. So I think what was given to you, because it's day one. This is how the Holy Spirit, which is just this presence, the remembrance of this presence of love. That's how it works. It gives you these little miracles to show you you're on the right track. And tell you, look, okay, you experience the peace. There's some different experience there. Maybe this is the right path for you. Maybe this could work. And other things maybe won't work. As an introduction to the course, that then you've had that experience straight away. It's like saying to you, well, okay, do you want that
This
peace?
is
Do you want
the,
more of
yeah,
that peace or not?
absolutely. Yeah.
So the course
That's
is
how
a
it
book
felt.
that we
Yeah.
have.
And like I say, a lot of the spiritual stuff that you read, it almost seems to have, which I find a bit strange. You know, I've heard many mediums talk about unicorns and you've got dragons and this, that, and it almost seems to be like this love story. And that's not what I want. It's not, yeah, like I say, being drawn to this straight away. And today's been peaceful. So myself, I know this is where I want to be. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's, I'm
In the right
glad.
place at the right time. You know, a lot of this, stuff, this
Yeah,
esoteric stuff,
absolutely. Yeah.
unicorns and dragons, and it's still dealing in illusion. You know, the course is really saying everything of
Yeah.
this world is illusion. So it doesn't really matter
Yeah.
what form the illusion takes, whether it's so-called a more spiritual illusion, unicorns and dragons, or
Yeah.
just plain animals that you can see uh, in this world.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's all in the mind, right? This is all a projection of the
Yeah.
mind. So we are dreaming a dream, and any form
Yeah.
is illusion. Form is the
Yeah.
world of form, and time and space is an
Yeah.
illusion. What underlies that, which is this presence we call God, love, oneness, kingdom of heaven, nirvana. It's been called many things. The grounded being.
Yeah.
What underlies that is what we all, really yearning for, because it's beyond
Yeah.
form. It's timeless. It's eternal. And there's many teachings, spiritual teachings around there, but not many teach you only that is real, because those
Yeah.
teachings are quite rare. We call them non-dual teachings in this world. So it's a teaching that says,
Well,
look, only one of
yeah.
these realities is real. So duality doesn't really
Yeah.
exist, although it seems to. So it's premised on oneness and oneness only. You can't really
Yeah.
compromise on oneness. As soon as you say, well, there's oneness, but then there's also separation, now you have a compromise, don't you?
Yeah.
And now you've got separation entering into your mindset. And of course, it's saying, well, look, one of those ideas is true and one is false, because actually they clearly contradict each other. You can't have
Mm.
separation and perfect oneness. And most
Mm.
spiritualities and traditions and so on try to somehow merge those and try and make them into kind of
Mm.
one teaching. But then there's these clear contradictions. So we have, God, love. God is a God of love, but then God seems, as I just take Christianity as a formal traditional religion, God then is also punishing. God seems to be a God that punishes you and that judges you and
Mm.
condemns you. Well, that's no longer a
Mm.
God of perfect love. Now we have something else going on.
No.
And so, Yeshua he understood this, and his teaching was a non-dual teaching. He said, only one of these is true. So you must choose. You can't worship both, God or Mammon. You
Mm.
must choose which altar you worship, but you can't have both. And the course is
Mm.
in that tradition. It's a non-dual teaching, which is similar to Advaita Vedanta, which is the highest teaching of the East, which is where Hinduism devolved from, and Buddhism. They all came from there, and Taoism came from this pure non-dual teaching. So the
Mm.
course is a non-dual teaching. But what I love about it is it was given in New York City to people who were very much caught up in the world, in worldly stuff, worldly pursuits. They weren't living a spiritual life at all.
Mm.
And this course came to help them in one of the busiest, most mind-oriented cities in the world, New
Mm.
York City. So it was given in a Western society, in a Western context, to help us to say, okay,
Mm.
I understand. He understands where we are as a master teacher, and he's given this to us to help us where we are. It's no good teaching us the absolute nirvana reality, and there's no bridge between that. It's like, well, that's just
Yeah.
too far away. So it's a process of unwinding the mind, really,
Mm.
that he takes you on. So, as
Yeah.
here you can see a little bit about how it came. There were these two people, a lady called Helen Schuckman and William Thetford. They were professors of medical psychology Columbia University's College of Physicians and Surgeons in New York City. And it just shows, that the story shows that with God, all things are possible. They were anything but spiritual. The relationship with each other was difficult and often strained, and they were concerned with personal and professional acceptance and status. So most people are like that in this world. They had considerable investment in the values of the world, and their lives were hardly in accord with anything the Course advocates. And then, really what happened was they asked for help. William Thetford, they were in a car apparently driving to a disciplinary hearing, which happens fairly frequently in that environment. And he just sort of turned to Helen and said, I'm just tired of this. I'm sick and tired of this. There must be a better way. And he expected her to sort of mock or scorn him, but she actually agreed. She said, I agree with you. And I agree, we need to find a better way. I don't know what that way is, but I'll help you find it. And so there was a meeting of minds in this common purpose of finding the truth. And so that's an invitation to the Holy Spirit, as the Course calls it, which is this presence of love that's in both of them. And that was enough to then bring on a series of dreams for her. She had some vivid dreams and all kinds of quite psychic experiences for a few months. She told Bill about. And then in October of that 1965, this voice starts speaking to her and saying, "This is a Course in Miracles. Please take notes." And she's a bit freaked out by this. Because she was an atheist, academic, psychologist, atheist, very much in her head, in her mind. And suddenly this, voice is speaking to her, and she's wondering if she's losing the plot. So she calls up her, boss, Bill Thetford, and he says, well, why don't you write it down, what it says, and bring it in the morning. We'll have a look at it, and if it's total gibberish, we'll forget all about it. Maybe you need to go for some kind of therapy or whatever. But let's see. He was obviously fairly open. He was agnostic rather than atheistic, and she brought her writing in the morning. And he looked at it and said, "Wow, this is no disrespect, but this isn't coming from you."
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she said, "Yeah, I know. It's freaking me out. This is another voice, and it's telling me things that I don't fully understand. It's just kind of coming through me." And that was how the Course started. And this was the start of it, Introduction to A Course in Miracles. So this is A Course in Miracles. This is how he started the Course. He said to her, "This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. So it's up to you when you want to learn this, but it's required. You're going to have to learn the truth at some point. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So we have free will to a point. You can delay learning the truth, you can procrastinate, but the truth is true. And at some point, everyone will learn it because it's the truth. So that's what he means by course. Whether you take it in the form of A Course in Miracles or you take some other spiritual path, it's the same fundamental truth. And so you start to see that. What I find with the Course, understanding it, whatever comes along in the spiritual teachings, it's explained in the Course. There's no contradiction. If it's an authentic spiritual teaching, then it's explained and it's understandable within this framework. So for me, it's a framework within which, it's my spiritual path, but it's not something that is exclusive. So, no, you can't allow that because if the teaching is true, it's going to resonate with this because this is fundamental truth. So the Course doesn't aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. So he's framing it. Look, I can't teach you that. That's an experience. It's beyond what can be taught. It will come when you're ready. But it does aim at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So removing these blocks is the whole point, the whole process. Because actually you are already love. It's your natural inheritance. It's who you really are. So remove the blocks, and what reveals itself is your true nature. So instead of trying to become something, which is what the ego is always telling us: become something more, become something better. This is the opposite approach. It's saying, no, unbecome, just cut away what's not you, like a sculptor cutting away at the block of marble to eventually reveal the masterpiece of the David. I mean, Michelangelo even said, how do you do it? Well, I just cut away what's not David. So, and I reveal the masterpiece that's in there. So in the same way, we need to cut away, let go of what's not us to reveal what is us. And that's already true. It's already there in the marble, but there's all the rough edges that need to be trimmed away. And so that's what the process is about. That's what this course is designed to do, as he states clearly in the introduction. And then he says the opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So that is what he does a lot in the course. There's two orders of reality to be the case in this world. There seems to be an opposite to love, he calls it fear. But then in the second part of the sentence, he jumps you to a non-dual reality. He says, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So this loving presence actually has no opposite. It can have no opposite. And the opposites that you perceive are illusion, therefore they are unreal. So therefore, it can be summed up very simply in this way: the teaching, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God, which you experience some of today. Because when the only way you're ever going to experience that peace is to apply the truth. You're never going to find it in an illusion. This is what he's saying. He's saying you're looking to find peace and happiness in a dream, and you're never going to find it there because it's not designed to be there. Right? The ego has invented this world, being the separate self, in order to confuse us and tell us that this world is real and that the perfect love that it's covering over is not true. And so this statement, these kinds of statements of non-dual truth undo that. Nothing real can be threatened. Okay? So whatever's real can't be threatened. There's nothing to fear. It's invulnerable. In other words, your true self is invulnerable, cannot be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. There's no true existence. So why are you worried about it, fearing it, attacking it, judging it, doing whatever you're doing with it if it's unreal? It doesn't exist. So of the non-dual teaching, the essence of the idea of letting go. How do you actually let go of stuff? Well, you recognize that it's unreal. It's not true. If you read today's message about the levels of forgiveness, like there's three levels. There's the pseudo forgiveness, which pretends to forgive people but actually is judging them righteously. That's not forgiveness at all. It's judgment in disguise. Then there's a form of compassionate forgiveness where you kind of go, well, it's happened, but okay, I can maybe understand that someone's had a rough life, they had a tough upbringing, and so on. And so I soften my judgment, but I still make it real. As long as you make it real, you can't forgive it because it's still there in your mind and it's in your thoughts and it's in your emotions. That's why people already struggle with forgiveness, because you can't do it within the ego's framework of making the world real. It's not possible. The best you can do is soften your judgment a little bit, as compassion does. But this is saying, no, we'll just recognize the truth that it's not real, that nothing unreal really exists. And in that realization, in any instance where the unreality of the world is presenting itself, then you are forgiving it or letting it go. And herein lies the peace of God. Herein, when you understand this, you will experience this deep peace, which, as you say, is a little strange when you experience it. Like, wow, what is that? We're kind of used to it. We're so used to being in our minds and being attached to the world. Suddenly you experience something else, and it's like, whoa, what is that? That's another reality, really. That's just you're getting a little glimmer of it. That's ultimately gonna undo the entire false reality that you believe in, which is this world and the self that you believe is in it.
So can I just say something quickly, Jono? Sometimes when I've done meditation, guided meditation, they talk about forgiving yourself. And I don't really understand that. Forgiving yourself for what? Do you see what I mean? It's a very strange, for me, it felt strange saying it, and it didn't sit right with me, them saying forgive yourself. It's just, I don't know, because like you've just touched on, if you suddenly realize, that everything isn't real, then it, like you just said, it takes it all away. So
there's nothing to forgive.
Exactly. And that's why I find that recently I haven't been listening to guided meditation. I've just been in my own thoughts. But some of the guided meditation I listened to or used to listen to just never really made sense. Like I said, there seems to be sort of some love story at the end of it, which I'm not looking for. But this does resonate, and you alluded to it earlier, logically, I can understand logic. So yeah, that forgiving yourself, and I still don't understand it now.
Exactly.
It was strange. So
I changed the language. I mean, this statement, forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. Does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees there was no sin. In that view, all your sins forgiven. It's simply seeing that none of it's true and none of it's real. Now, if you change forgiveness to letting go, so read it with forgiveness as letting go, and see what you think. We actually did a translation today, so I'll just pull it up. So what we're actually doing with this course is we're translating it into another language, an alternative language, which I think, my experience, the experience of the people in the program, is that it's much more accessible, much more understandable. So if you read that, can you read the screen there? Letting go recognizes.
Yeah.
So if you read it aloud. Letting go recognizes.
Yeah, letting go recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. It does not pardon sins and make them real. It perceives there was no sin. And in that view are all your sins let go of. What is sin except a false idea about perfect love's extension? Letting go merely perceives its falsity, is that?
Falsity, yeah.
Falsity, and therefore lets it go. What then is free to take its place is now the pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah, so that's our translation for, so we've got God and will of God and God's Son and forgiveness. And that language often it doesn't resonate with people. Often they've had a Christian upbringing and they've rejected that and they've gone, no, that this isn't for me. So the language creates a barrier to really understanding what this means. So we change the language because the words are just symbols twice removed from reality, as Yeshua says in this course. So they just pointers to the truth. So use a different pointer that gives you an experience of this. So you read the second one as opposed to the first one, and suddenly more understanding dawns, and you go, okay, so now I'm starting to maybe understand a bit more what forgiveness really is. What forgiveness really is letting go of your own negative thoughts and emotions, these blocks, to the awareness of love's presence, as he calls it in the introduction. That's what it's about. And you let that go, and you then, what reveals itself is this pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is our name for God. It's just an awareness of perfect oneness that's still there, but has been obscured. Your mind has been clouded with all kinds of other thoughts and emotions, and but this remains the foundation of your mind. So you don't have to become that. You already are that. You just have to remove what's obscuring it. And that's the whole teaching. So it's very, very simple, but to actually apply it in practice, requires the mind training, because situations come up and the ego tempts you, and the truth gets clouded over again. And in that situation, you need to recognize the truth. as he's saying, okay, I recognize that only the truth is true. This is just a cover over my true awareness, and I'm willing to let it go. So when you say you forgive yourself, what you're really doing is you're letting go of your own negative thoughts and emotions. And in the process of letting go of your negative thoughts and emotions, you're letting go of the self-concept that sponsors them. And that self-concept is called the ego. And by the Course and many other spiritual teachings call it the ego. It's a sense of I am a separate self. I am Nick. I am this. I am that. You define yourself by all kinds of definitions. And of course, that means that you're separate from everyone else. And that's the separate self that Yeshua is saying that's the problem. That self-concept is the whole problem. That's why you're not happy. That's why you're not at peace. That's why there's all this difficulty in your life. That's why there's so much difficulty in the world, because there's a separate self-concept in your mind, and that self-concept is not true. It's a false idea about who you are. And so this process of letting go of the negative thoughts and emotions, which constitute the false self-concept, reveals the true self, reveals who you really are, which he calls the Christ. Or in other language, it's called the Buddha. I just prefer true self. It's it's who you really are. Now that true self allows you to perceive things correctly. So you now perceive from right-minded perception. This is the Holy Trinity diagram. So you have God the Father, heaven, love, oneness, eternity, pure formless awareness, perfect love, source, knowledge. There's many names for it. It's this one presence. It's ineffable, and the true self is connected to that. Your true self understands this perfectly, because your true self is only one self. You're not thinking in terms of separation. You recognize that there's only really one of us here. We have one self. We share that self. So then there's no separation. So this self-concept connects you with this awareness, with this experience. So hence, God the Father, source, is connected to the Son, Christ. So this is how the Holy Trinity works. So now you have a true self-concept, and that allows you to perceive correctly. So you now perceive all the people and things and places and events and circumstances and situations, trauma, successes, failures, and everything else. It seems to exist and happen in time and space, but you perceive it differently because you have another self-concept. And that that is how this Holy Spirit, Christ, and God the Father work. So it's an operating system for your life. Now, they don't explain that in Christian teaching. They don't really understand what the Holy Trinity is and what it means. They just say it's a mystery, but it's actually an operating system for your mind and for your life. While you're here, to correct your mind, correct your perceptions, to journey back to the one self that you truly are, and finally to this perfect, pure experience, pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is a pure experience of source. But there's a journey there. You can't go straight from the perceptual realm, which is this, to there. There's got to be a bridge. There's got to be some steps in between. So that's, in my view, what the Course in Miracles does beautifully. Is it guides you through this maze to start changing your perception of everything in time and space. And as you change your perception, you must be changing the self-concept that's perceiving. That's inevitable. And now you change your self-concept and you realize you're the true self. That opens you to experience of a transcendent awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, which is God, which is the one truth, that one singular state of awareness that all the great spiritual masters have talked about. They've all experienced it. And they've gone, well, this is, they try and describe it in words, which don't really do it justice. Yeshua called it the kingdom of heaven. Buddha called it nirvana. It's one awareness. And so it systematically leads you to do that through a process of mind training, which it does through the text. So there's a 670 page text, as you can see, many chapters, Each one, there's several chapters. Each one, if you dig down, it's a big book. And it's written in a language that for a lot of people is impenetrable. They just can't get their head around it. So it seems to be my calling to translate it. We're translating this into a more accessible language as we go. So that's going to be available for you next year when we repeat the program. And then we also do the workbook, which is the practical lesson. So today you did lesson 1, nothing I see in this room. So it's just a simple mind training, right? He's trying to get you to think a little bit differently about whatever you see. The table doesn't mean anything. The chair doesn't mean anything. Brilliant, really, because he's just meeting you out. Okay, so you think there's a table, so let's work with the table. Let's work with the chair. Let's work with any object that's around you. And you're going to start just changing your perception through this exercise. But the genius of it is, although it's kind of the entry level, it's also the end point. Because if you really get that nothing I see in this room means anything, you're enlightened. If you really understand that, it takes you all the way to full enlightenment, collapsing your ego, collapsing time and space, and being just rooted in the pure formless awareness of perfect life. So each lesson has the entire truth. Each lesson can take you to the full awareness of truth, but systematic and progressive. If you do them sequentially, they're designed as a process to unwind your mind from this false self-concept, being a separate self, and getting you to see who you really are in truth. And so it takes you on a journey, what I call the hero's journey, which I'll just share with you. Just put that into slide presentation mode. So I don't know if you're familiar with have you heard of the hero's journey?
No.
So it's a guy called Joseph Campbell, who was a teacher and student of philosophy, and he started to get very interested in the 1930s and 40s about different cultures, different religious traditions, different spiritual paths. And he was a voracious reader. Apparently, he used to read like 9 hours a day. So he just read and he read and he read. And what he started to see in all that reading was a pattern. And that pattern he then formalized, and he said, "Well, this is the hero's journey. It's a consistent pattern in all of these myths, in all of the traditions, in all of the stories. There's this one story. It's all really follows the same pattern, and no one had really seen that before. So this then is a pattern of the hero's journey, or the journey of awakening. It's the same thing. The hero's journey is the journey of awakening to who you really are, and it starts off with the hero, which is you. Everyone is the hero of their own life, having some kind of call to adventure. So you feel dissatisfied with the known world, whatever you're currently in, your normal world. There's just it doesn't really sit right with you. You're not it doesn't resonate. You're not comfortable. You're not happy, and maybe something happens to kind of abruptly change that world. Sometimes people can get sick, or they can get ill, or they move, or you mentioned your partner leaves you. It disturbs the known world, disturbs the status quo, and so that can seem terrible to the ego, but actually it's a call to adventure, saying, right, there's something else beyond the ordinary world. This is the call to go and explore that and discover it. And so that's step 2, call to adventure. Then often the hero refuses the call. So you go, okay, well, I'm not so sure about this. Actually, the known world seems to have its attractions. I'm feeling, insecure. I'm feeling like, vulnerable. I don't really know what's going to happen if I leave my kind of comfort zone. And so very often the person refuses the call. It's the first step. But they're getting guidance and support on the path. So they'll meet a mentor. Who could be someone like me, a spiritual teacher. It could be in the form of a book like A Course in Miracles. It could be just a YouTube video. There's many ways that this can happen. It can be mentors from the past, mentors who are no longer physically alive. Can be your teacher. Some people talk about guides and angels. Those can also serve a purpose. It's anything that is giving you access to some higher understanding, to spiritual guidance, would be called a mentor. And that's encouraging. That's saying to you, okay, this, look at this differently, and actually, yes, take the journey. It gives you encouragement, because otherwise you probably wouldn't take it. And then you come to a point of crossing the threshold where you have to say, okay, I'm up for this. I'm going to dive in. If you look at movies, there's some brilliant movies that demonstrate this. If you've watched The Matrix, do you watch The Matrix ever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you watch The Matrix. So crossing the threshold is when Neo takes the pills, right? It's like Morpheus gives him the choice. Morpheus is his mentor. He meets the mentor. He says, right, here we go. Your final choice. There's no going back. You take the blue pill. You forget everything about this, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. Take the red pill, and Kansas is going bye-bye. Your entire reality is gonna change. He's saying, remember, I only offer you the truth. So the mentor encourages you to cross the threshold, leave the normal world behind, and journey into the unknown, which doesn't mean you necessarily leave your normal world and you travel anyway. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's a change in your perception. You're perceiving everything. The unknown world is a world of transformed perception. You perceive everything differently. And you're starting to leave the normal world of your normal perception up to this point. So that then leads to the second act. And this is, by the way, this 12-step process is how they script these Hollywood movies. If you look at them like The Matrix, it follows exactly these steps. The ordinary world, Neo starts there. Then he has the call to adventure, knock, knock on the door. Then he gets called down into the dungeon, into the club. So there's a call to adventure. Then he literally gets the call from his mentor on the phone. Then there's refusal of the call, because he says, well, go out the window and cross the scaffolding, and he doesn't want to do it because he's scared. So then, the agents take him in, but he gets a second chance. It's like, okay, there's a second chance, and he gets to meet him, and then he gets the choice. Okay, do you want to do this or not? You must make a choice and cross the threshold now. So then that's the first act of the movie over. Second act is the adventure, also known as the initiation, where he's now got to train. So he goes into gets pulled into the light. He's now in another reality, and he's got various tests he's got to pass. He's got to do his training. Morpheus puts him through the tests. If you remember, he's got to fight in the dojo, and he's got to do the jump. And there's allies. So there's people like Morpheus and Trinity are for him, and then there's enemies. Cypher's his enemy, doesn't want him to succeed, and he's sowing doubt. And he's got to approach the inner cave. So he's now got to really question himself and say, well, who am I really? And he literally goes to the Oracle that's approaching the inner cave. She tells him, right, you're going to have to make a choice between your life and Morpheus's life. And then he has to go and face the ordeal. He's got to go save Morpheus, and he's got to face Smith, who's the ego. So he's facing, his arch enemy, which is his own ego. He's got to face down his own fear, and he has to go through that ordeal in order to awaken. So there's this death and rebirth process that's happening, which is well demonstrated there, because he does it twice in the movie. First time he awakens from his dream, and he's like, whoa, what's just happened? And then right at the end of the movie, he gets killed by the ego, and he resurrects. He's like, okay, well, actually the power of love is stronger. It can't kill me. I realize I'm not a body. And he comes back. And so he returns. And then the final scene of the movie is he returns to the Matrix, and he's in the phone booth, and he's saying, well, I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. So he's returned with the elixir, which is the knowledge. It's not any physical gift. It's actually the knowledge of who he really is. He's awoken, and he's now going to try and awaken everyone else. And so that's kind of the universal pattern. Then he comes back into the normal world, but he's now the awakened one, or the avatar who's there to awaken others. And so then he calls others to adventure, and they're trying to awaken others and help them to go on their journey, on their hero's journey. And he becomes a hero to other people. And so that's kind of the universal story of the hero's journey, which Hollywood cottoned onto when Joseph Campbell published his first book in 1948. Very soon after that, movies like Star Wars came out, which then put it in, and they said, okay, let's actually put this into a story. And those movies are the most successful movies. Star Wars, one of the most successful movie franchises ever. Avatar, the single biggest revenue generating movie of all time. Also, it's classic hero's journey. What else? Harry Potter, also Hero's Journey, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix. All of these enduring trilogies and movie series. They're based on the hero's journey because it speaks to us. It speaks to people on a deep level about who they really are, and we resonate with the characters because we are going through that awakening. And so we like watching these stories, and we can learn from them. So this is really a model of what this journey of awakening can look like for you. So you're now getting a call to adventure. If you look at where you are on your path, okay, so something's changed in your status quo. You said, your relationship seems to be falling apart. You're unsure about your work. You've been there 18 years, but it no longer really resonates with you. And now you're meeting mentors. Linda, myself, it's like guides, mentors, David Hoffmeister. These are all people encouraging you to go on the path and cross the threshold and jump in to the unknown world. And the Course in Miracles is really that. It's a teaching that's going to totally radically transform your perception of the world and of who you think you are. And so that's the choice. Do you want it or not? And it sounds like you do. So if you want to take the red pill,
I'm actually at the crossing threshold point, and I know I am, but I'm holding on. Although this would appear to be certain things that I believe are stopping me, but I know deep down inside they're sort of saying to me, just do it. Do you know what I mean? And I seem to, I don't know if I'm holding on for a particular reason, but I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right at the moment, but I know that's where I've got to be, and I know I've got to cross that threshold, and then I want to be as well. That's where I need to be to actually start that journey, to get through it all, really. And I'm quite happy to go through all of that. I'm quite happy. I've always been a person that I can face. If people got a problem with me or they say things about me, etc., I don't have a problem with that. So to me, nothing, I don't think nothing would really stand in my way, but I think that's where I am at the moment. It's crossing the threshold.
Yeah. Which is, the moment of decision, because once you do that, you're now into this cycle, which isn't easy. There's trials, there's tests, there's challenges. You'll get tested, but you do have a lot of help on the way. So you start to see as you're on your hero's journey, you're not alone. There is really a presence, a power that's there to help you, and it shows up in many ways, in many forms, because it's trying to guide you through your hero's journey. It's guiding you to awaken. That's the universal program. That's what this Holy Spirit wants you to do. So if it resonates with you, and it sounds like you're ready to jump in, what I'm going to offer you is an opportunity to jump into this program I've developed, which I've been working at for 4 years. So it's kind of a labor of love. I've spent thousands and thousands of hours on it, which is really a guided daily program to guide you through studying A Course in Miracles and other things. I bring in some other teachings as well, so that you see that it's a universal truth. Course in Miracles is the foundation, but you can see it in Buddhism, you can see it in Taoism, you can see it in any of the great spiritual teachings. And I bring in various resources to help you to see that. So I'll give you an example of what's involved. So this is today's email. We as you can see, we're on day 186, and then there's a 6-week course as well. So we're actually 220 days into it. It starts at the beginning of the year. So you get an email. I always have an inspirational quote, which is themed and related to the workbook lesson from A Course in Miracles of the day. So today's is about forgiveness. You just read this: forgiveness. Recognize what you thought your brother did to you hasn't occurred. Doesn't pardon sins and make the world sees there was no sin. And then I have some teachings. So I generally write a little blog post, I guess, which can be anything from a few paragraphs to this one's quite long. teaching on radical forgiveness, teaching on compassionate forgiveness, just so that it kind of frames the quote. So, there's many, you might have signed up to a few of these things where you get an inspirational quote and then that's it. There's no further teaching on it. But the quote can be a starting point for a much deeper dive into a subject. So that's kind of what I do. And then that leads into the lesson for the day. So, there's some teaching here, there's some reading. And then in our daily live sessions, so we do a session every day at 12:30 UK time. We discuss this. We actually read it, we discuss it, so you can really, get into it and understand it. If you can't do the discussion, you can listen to the recording, which I send out. I do it live on YouTube and also send it to the Telegram group that I've set up. So there's a lot of spiritual material there for people who really want to awaken. It's an accelerator because you're going to be doing the daily practice. You can do several hours a day on this program if you want to. So you can join the live session. You click that link. You come into the Zoom room at 12:30, and you're most welcome to join us anytime for the next 3 weeks. I'd encourage you to join as much as possible and get a sense of what the live sessions are like, because that's really where a lot of the teaching and the learning happens, and it's interactive as well. So the beauty is, like, you do some sharing, and we don't always record that sharing at the beginning, and then address the principles. And so people really get realizations that are very applicable to their life. It's not just theory. It's like, how does this actually apply to your life, and help you to let go in your own life and find that peace and happiness that everyone really wants. And then it leads into a daily mind training lesson. So you have today's lesson 221, peace to my mind, let all my thoughts be still, which perfect for you because that's exactly what you experience. So that theme is developed. Nothing I see means anything. He's correcting your perception in the first part of the workbook. We just started part 2, where it's more about just really deepening into the experience of it. Okay, so let's just meditate and let's go into the peace and actually experience it. Done a lot of the correction in the first part, and so it becomes shorter and more kind of meditative. And then what I do is what I've done is create some meditations around it. So it's not just words. You actually meditate on it. You want to do a 13-minute meditation. Click the link, and there you go. It'll open up for you. I send that on Telegram as well, so you've got it as a file on your phone. So there's a number of ways you can access the same content. Emails. Some people prefer email. Some people love their mobiles, so they prefer Telegram. It's on both mediums. So the email is the sort of the long version. There's a lot of stuff in here, a lot of content, but the essence of it up to about here is duplicated in Telegram, so you can get it there if you want. That's the kind of short version. But if you like to have a daily schedule, I put down a whole lot of things you can do. So ideally, a lot of people say, well, I can't do all of it. No, but it's an ideal. It's there as a template. And so you choose what you can do. So there's guided meditations, guided letting go meditation in the morning, various lengths of it, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, another variation of the 10-step letting go process I guided the other day, which is there for you. So, I give you all these resources free. It's all, if you decide to join, it's a free trial. You get access to all this stuff. You can download it, you can keep it. Because I'm like, well, whatever, it's universal truth. So have it if it helps you. But ideally, if the process resonates with you, you become a member, you join, and it becomes your daily spiritual gym. You're going to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to do this program. This is based on some stuff we do in the first 6 weeks, the course. So it's your essence statement, and I just give you various tools as a course manual, which you'll have access to. So in the first 6 weeks of the program, I designed it to start with as a 6-week course, an introductory course. It gives you an introduction to A Course in Miracles, and there's various transformational exercises, as you can see here, exercise 1 to 12, and various material in there. So I guide you through that in the first 6 weeks of the program, which is going to happen February, March next year. But in the meantime, you're most welcome to jump in where we are with day lesson 220. Because it's a holographic thought system. The truth is true. this lesson of peace is as applicable if you're on day 1 as it is on day 220. So it's a universal message of peace. So you can jump in and just go for it and try it out. See if it works for you. See if it fits into your schedule. See if you can do the live sessions, or you enjoy the recordings, or you like the meditations. And people use it in different ways. I give them a lot of material, and then they find a way to kind of find their flow with it. So there's your daily schedule, and I don't think anyone does it all, but I know people dip in. They'll do the meditation, and then they'll have a listen to the lesson. So there's a recording of the lesson, and at any point in the day, you can just have a look at this and say, okay, well, what could I do? Okay, there we go. Could do a meditation now. I could do a breath, short little mantra processes. So you're saying, do a longer meditation in the morning and the evening, twice a day, and then through the day, top yourself up just with a minute or two. So I record these little breath breaks. I incorporate breathing. So Linda was saying, your breathing is very powerful. So it brings in the teaching of this idea. You meditate on the idea, peace to my mind, let all my thoughts be still. You do a little guided meditation on that, 3-4 minutes. So you can integrate that into your day. And in fact, research
I did do that
shows
today.
If you take a break, it's much more productive.
I did. Yeah.
Take a 5-minute break, you're going to be much more productive for the next 55 minutes. Take at least 5 minutes out of every hour. That's the recommendation. So it's kind of along those lines, and you just listen to it on your phone, stick on some headphones, do a bit of breathing, and you're meditating on the idea. Then do it in the afternoon as well. There's a live session, and then I give you some evening practices. You can listen to the earlier live session. You click the link. It directs you to the YouTube recording. So it's all on the email, or in the afternoon I send out another Telegram message, and then there's some text reading for the day, which I'll give you the link to. So you read one section of this text every day, because you need to really break it down into bite-sized chunks. So the text, as you saw, where are we today? Chapter 26. There's a bit of teaching immediately for they have come. So there's the text. It's a few paragraphs, and we break it. You break it down. You do it in bite-sized chunks, and then it becomes manageable. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. You do a lesson a day. You do one section of the text a day, and in a year you'll get through the whole program. So you'll get through the entire text, and then there's a manual for teachers. And there's other bits and pieces like clarification of terms. You read it all, and systematically, progressively get guidance on it. So there's live sessions to guide you through it. So it's a pretty comprehensive program. If you want to do a deep dive into Course in Miracles, I don't know anything that is as comprehensive as this. There's other programs out there. Of course, there's plenty of free stuff on YouTube, and it's all good. David Hoffmeister is brilliant. There's other teachers. There's plenty of free lessons. But no one that I've come across is structured in a systematic way. We've got the email, you've got the Telegram message, you've got daily live sessions, which are happening, which then help you to practice the lesson, understand it, meditate on it. Guided meditation we do in the daily session. So there's really a lot of support for you on your journey. And I found that people who doing it, they really find it's extremely helpful. That it's accelerated their journey greatly. I'll send you a couple of testimonials after this, which you can listen to, or just join the live session. You actually get to speak to people in person. Because we do it every day, and people are showing up every day, and there's awakenings happening. There's insights. And if you're part of the live sessions or just listen to recordings, you get to hear that, and so it's very inspiring seeing other people awaken, and it inspires you. So in this process of awakening, it's really helpful to have mentors and guides, and also a group. Why people have formed communities and groups for a long time, because it helps people to do this. It's not an easy journey to do on your own. So you get
Why
support
do
in
you
the group.
think, sorry, Jonathan, why do you think more and more people are being awakened? Because it's something I seem to come across, knowing more and more people that seem to be awakened. Is there any, what is the reason for that? I mean, or of people, I guess, have always been awakened but never come forward or had programs to assist them, I guess. But
I mean, the spiritual awakening has been going on since the beginning of time.
For a long, yeah.
It's nothing new. There's from the most ancient records of prehistoric civilizations. You see, there were spiritual rituals. There were shamanic rituals. There were shamans. So it's been around since humanity started. So what's happening is nothing new. But I think it's just we've been so fast asleep really for so long that it's now suddenly people are going, okay, and clearly the system that we live in is quite broken, and it's not really working. And people are seeing that. They're seeing the dysfunctional.
So that's the real awakening,
experiencing it. And so then there's a call to like, okay, well we've lost sight of something. We don't exactly know what it is, but we feel like we're missing something. And now with information technology being what it is, information can be shared so easily and cheaply and quickly. That it's the internet is a great catalyst for the spread of these kinds of ideas. So I think it's a combination of just a really dysfunctional ego-based system falling apart and really causing stress for people. And then at the same time, you've got great information technology like the internet, which allows information to be shared. It allows communication to happen very easily in a way that's never happened before. And so that can be a medium for carrying this kind of information and really a frequency of energy, of awakening to people. And this is then the time becomes the time of awakening for potentially millions. There's prophecies about the awakening of humanity, and whether everyone will do it at the same time, probably not, because that's never been the case. But if a critical mass awakens, they say for a revolution to happen, 3.5% of the population needs to have a shift, and then the revolution will happen. So 3.5% of the world's population really shift into this kind of understanding, then the world would awaken. Maybe I don't think it's at 3.5%, but I think must be approaching it. So very exciting time.
I've read a lot about. I've read a lot about that, where people have been saying that a certain amount of people need to awaken to either save humanity or save, which is it's good in a way, I think, because like you say, if your perception of the world, mine has never, I've always thought that this isn't right. I've always thought this isn't right. It's not, and to have that, is quite a blessing back in the day. But you could never say anything because people would probably just laugh. Well, they did laugh at me all the time, because I'm saying this isn't real. Wake up, and I've even been saying it right up until, sort of last year, especially to my partner, whose life seems to evolve around, the Facebooks and things like that, constantly. And it's just like, get off it, wake up, this isn't here. It's not, and the other thing that I've been reading a lot about is, twin flames and things like that. But that I'm not sure whether, again, it seems to be, I don't know whether that's real or not, or a lot of this, as I said before, it seems to be sort of almost a love story when it should be about spirituality to me. But that's just me reading. When you, like I say, when I've started up on this, I'll be reading in different things, and then it takes you on to different things, and then you read about this, this twin flame phenomena. And the more I read on that, it just seemed to be some sort of love story rather than the spiritual side. But again, I don't understand it. I'm not here to judge. It's like I say, I'm here on my journey. So yeah.
Well, you'll find that the course addresses all of this. It talks about special relationships. It's one of the major themes.
Yeah.
And any specialness, you see someone else as your special twin flame. That's not really spiritual at all. It's not oneness. There's a separation there. I'm special because they're my special person. And so I think intuitively you go, it doesn't really resonate, because where's the non-dual oneness? Where's the perfect oneness? If there's some special person for me. And so you've got these two thought systems. And this is what Yeshua's saying. There's perfect oneness that comes from God. That's just one. And there is no separation in this. So there's no specialness. There's no separate people. So there can't be anything special. So the idea of twin flame doesn't really fit into that at all. So then it fits in the other thought system, which is the egos, which is all about specialness.
Because when I read about that, the soul split, that didn't resonate with me. Why would your soul speak? Why would you split your soul? And like I say, it when I was reading it, like the intuition, it was just like, there's something wrong here. It just doesn't, like you said, it just didn't resonate. Yeah, because why would you split a soul? A soul is a soul, surely. Why would God decide to split a soul? And then, I don't know. But as you've explained it very clearly about the ego, and I can see that now, because like you've just alluded to, it's a wholeness. It's, and I guess that's where we all want to be at the end of the journey, is just that one complete wholeness, which I'm certainly looking for, I must admit, so
well, everyone is. They just don't always know it.
Yeah, they just don't always know it. Yeah.
But when it becomes conscious,
it's good when you do. Yeah.
On the hero's journey. Okay, I'm consciously aware of that. I'm choosing awakening. I'm choosing to go down this path consciously. And I know it's not going to be easy. I mean, if awakening was easy, we all would have done it long ago.
Yeah.
There are going to be challenges and trials and temptations along the way, which is what the hero's journey is saying. But having a map like this of the journey ahead is quite helpful. So, okay, I'm crossing the threshold, and don't expect it all to be wonderful straight away, because you're going to get temptations and trials.
Yeah.
A lot of people, there's a misconception. The personal growth industry has done a lot of people a disservice, because it's like, it's all going to be wonderful. No, you're going to do this, and your life's just going to be wonderful. It's all going to be plain sailing, and life just doesn't work that way.
No.
So this is a much more realistic idea. Okay, so this is how it actually works. This is the universe. Yes, you will have trials and temptations, and you will have failures, and you will have obstacles, but you're going to have guidance, and you have support, and you're going to have helpers. And so it's normal. It's normal to have trials, normal to have temptations. It's part of the awakening process. Because how else do you awaken if you're not able to see your ego? So the idea of this is that your ego presents itself through the trials and the temptations, and the failures, and then you have to face it, and you have to let it go.
Yeah.
The hero faces these trials over and over again and lets them go, and as he or she does that, moves into the death of the ego, the death of the separate self, and the rebirth into the true self. And then there's a revelation, there's a transformation, there's at 1 month, which is exactly the language that Course in Miracles use. So there's an at 1 month that happens, and you realize, wow, I never really was a separate self. I was actually always this one self. I was always this one true self, or Christ. And finally, I know myself. Know thyself. This is the ancient injunction of all the great spiritual teachers and teachings. To know yourself. And then, what can you do but return to the known world and say, well, wake up, people. Like, wake up. You're asleep. You don't know the truth. And then your purpose becomes to awaken others to this truth, because you've awakened to it. And because you've experienced it, you can now be a teacher and a mentor and a guide to other people on their journeys. And that's the universal cycle. And then you're the catalyst for someone else's hero's journey. You become a mentor on their hero's journey. So it's an interlocking chain of hero's journeys, all designed for the awakening of each person, and ultimately the awakening of humanity. as a whole, and there's no other purpose. There's no other purpose to our existence here. It's all about this. Many people won't acknowledge that. They say, "Oh no, there's many. I want travel. I want more sex. I want to go shopping. I want kids. I want there's all kinds of purposes we
Yeah.
embed." The hero's journey is saying, no, there's only really one purpose to our life, and it's this: it's to know who you are. And if you don't listen to that call, and you stay stuck in the known world, you're never really going to be very, very happy and very fulfilled, because there's always going to be something there sitting going, wake up, wake up. And that's the universal call of truth, the Holy Spirit saying, wake up, wake up. And then we suppress that and we deny it, and we get very miserable. If you deny the truth, then all you're left with is really a fake reality, and a lot of denial and suppression of the truth. And there's many, many people who live their entire lives like that, and they're not very happy. And what a tragedy if you're on your deathbed. There's a great story called the Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy, and he said this he's a judge in Russia who, on his deathbed, he's been a pretty unhappy man and had an unhappy marriage, and he said, what if my entire life's been wrong? And that's on my deathbed. I'm finally realizing maybe I got it all wrong. Everything was wrong. I perceived it wrong. I was living to a false self. So instead of waiting until we die, wake up now and say, okay, well, it's not too late to wake up, and spend the rest of my life in this process of awakening, and post this to go, well, actually, life can be quite happy and peaceful. And I have a purpose. My purpose here is to awaken myself and awaken others. That's the only reason I'm here. And so I now direct my life and all my energies towards that one universal goal, which is the universal purpose. So a lot of people are looking for their purpose, and they don't want to accept that actually their purpose is the same as everyone else's purpose. It's not anything unique. They will just have a unique way of expressing that purpose. So they might do it as a teacher or a healer or a counselor, or they might be inspired to make movies or dance, or there's many ways they can express that becomes their unique hero's journey. But it's the one single purpose. It's all the same journey. And so the more you look at this journey, you go, it's all the same journey, it's all the same story. You look at all the movies, it's all the same story, just spun in different ways, different characters, different times, different plots, but really the same story. And so we're all on the journey, whether you like it or not. Everyone is somewhere on the journey. Those who refuse the call simply stay stuck there. And it might take a lot to awaken. Sometimes a lot of pain is required for them to have the courage to cross the threshold.
Does that mean we loop when we come back, or if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think when you cycle through this, you can cycle through this a number of times in your life. So you can go.
So you may have many lives, but you're just looping because you haven't progressed.
You haven't fully awoken. So
fully accepted,
through one cycle, and then you go, okay, there's been a shift, and I come back, and then you kind of settle into a new equilibrium, and then another call to adventure comes. And I've had a couple of loops of this, where you go, okay, now it's another phase, it's another cycle, until eventually there's going to be a final death of the ego, where you go, I'm done, that's it, no more separate self. I get it.
So when you talk about death of the ego, it won't ever happen naturally. So it's not like something you go through your life and then finally your ego's gone, or you're 80 or 90 and you don't sort of care anymore. Is it something that you feel that you have to work at, or is it just speeding up the process of getting rid of your ego? This journey. If that's
there's two ways, actually. There's a slide I've got about this, so let me just bring it up.
Because I had somebody say to me that they will just naturally get rid of their ego, and I wasn't sure how you would actually do that. But
good luck with that.
Without learning, without learning about yourself, or
exactly. So there's two ways of doing it. I call it the way of mastery. There we go. yeah, the way of mastery. Let me just bring up the Zoom slideshow. Escape. That's what I want to do. It's taking me back there. So the way of mastery is far preferable to the way of the cross, but the way of the cross can work too. So you take, I don't know if you know Eckhart Tolle's story. He's a good example of someone who did the way of the cross, which was through intense pain and suffering. He suffered a lot. The first 29 years of life, he was really miserable, very unhappy person, and it just got worse and worse. And when he was 29, it was like he couldn't bear it anymore. It's like I just can't stand.
I think you
I
mentioned
can't
just
stand myself anymore. That was his thought. And
yeah,
because he had so much emotional pain, his pain body, as he calls it, was so heavy, it kind of just cracked open. And he had some kind of spontaneous spiritual awakening without actually having done anything than suffer. He'd suffered and he suffered and did that so thoroughly that eventually it was just like the ego cracked. And he just awoke overnight. He was like, wow, the next day he's looking around, he's going, I feel so peaceful. This heaviness and this darkness seems to have gone, and I'm just seeing light everywhere, and I'm feeling peaceful. And so, he had a kind of overnight spiritual awakening. That's quite unusual. It doesn't happen that often. Another lady called Darren Katie, you might have heard of her, had a similar experience. She woke up one day in a rehab, lying on the floor, and she just kind of got it. She was like, what am I doing? What have I been doing for the last 45 years of my life? Like, what am I doing here? And she just sort of came to her senses of sanity suddenly. And then this clarity came into her mind through this intense pain and suffering. But that's not a very reliable way. Just waiting, for life to kind of hit you over baseball.
Yeah.
Going, oh, well, I'll wake up one day. No, a lot of people don't. So conscious disciplines practice of spiritual ideas and techniques is what I call the way of mastery. And that's also been going on thousands of years. All the spiritual traditions generally have some kind of practice. Meditation practices, breath work, yoga. Yoga was probably the first formalized system of mastery, the way of mastery. It said, okay, well, if you apply these 8 limbs and you do it systematically, you'll progress from just the basics of getting your life in order. They called it the observances and the abstentions, yama and niyama. You would then let me just bring that up actually. So you would then start to transform, and ultimately you'd attain this samadhi. So this stuff's been going on a very long time. These principles have been around, and it's really just applying them into your life, saying, okay, well, can I do this? Because they have to be practiced. It's not theory. It's like I actually have to. Yoga is a practice. Spirituality is a practice. So what I've done really is taken a lot of these techniques, breathwork technique, which involves asanas. That's a posture, pranayama, pratyahara, which is a withdrawal of the senses. Pranayama is breath control. Meditation, multidimensional meditation, which involves breath work, color, visualization, touch, toning. It's all incorporated into that guided letting go meditation. So that involves all of the first 3, asana, pranayama, and pratyahara, plus dharana, which is a focused concentration type meditation, which leads into dhyana, which is a deeper sort of contemplative meditation, which ultimately becomes samadhi, which is the ultimate state of enlightenment. Forgiveness and letting go. So that's actually a practice. You can consciously choose to let go of things, and there's processes that help you to do that. The workbook lessons help you to do that. There's a 10-step letting go process. There's Instrument for Peace worksheet. There's Ho'oponopono. All of this really I've collated and said, look, here are all the tools. If you want to let go, here are all the tools, and play around with it and see what works for you. Group discussion sessions. So those are really, really powerful because it's study. In yoga, they call it niyama. It's a part of niyama, which is learning, practicing in truth. in your life, and that's studies. Vijaya, they call it, is study of spiritual texts. But now with technology, you can do it in a group, and you can do it live on Zoom. But you're doing the same thing they did thousands of years ago. They just would sit around, and they didn't do it via Zoom. They would sit around, they discuss. Reading and listening to a spiritual text, that's also part of that. So you can do that on your own. You can do it in the group discussions. You can listen to the group discussions. Beauty of the technology is it just kind of brings all this to life, and it makes it quite immediate and quite accessible. In my view, that's the best. The best use of technology is to awaken us from the dream. Fasting and abstinence, that's another one. So that's not just fasting from food. That's one way of doing it. And I recommend, when we do the course, you try a 24-hour fast once a week. But it's just abstaining from things that aren't serving you. So you've got habits that don't serve you. You might have some addictions. You might have just things that you really like that doesn't really serve me. I need to let go of it. So it's like cleaning that stuff up, and that's part of letting go.
That actually happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, Jonathan. That actually happened to me when I had this awakening. I was actually fasting for a month. I was just on liquids. I couldn't even bring myself to eat anything, and I still didn't know why. But I was just literally on a liquid diet. I'd lost about 2.5 stone. I was very overweight, and I still am overweight. But and meat, I cannot touch meat anymore. I've been vegetarian for about 2.5, 3 months now, which is very strange because I've always been a meat eater and I've enjoyed eating meat. But whatever happened, suddenly turned around and said, stop eating this. And the fasting now, like I say, I will probably go a couple of days where I'll just drink fluids. It's not because, in my mind I'm going, something there is saying to me, just, you don't need food today, just drink your liquids, which is usually water, or I'll drink jaggery tea, which I make myself. And like I say, they're just things that I don't know. I can't even describe. I'm not mentally training myself to say I don't want food today. It's like I say, 2 days something would just say you don't need food, just drink fluid. So it's been very strange for me. One of the addictions I've got though is smoking, but that seems to be just dispersing with each day. And I'm not doing anything to train my mind to go, I must stop smoking. It's something there is telling me it's and it's going. And I do find certain times that you will actually go into the toilet. It's almost like your body is clearing something out. To me, it's like which is again very. But it feels good. I must admit, it's almost like you're cleansing your body, or something's cleansing your body to say, like you've just said, it doesn't serve you, just get rid of it. So that's been very, that has been happening, well, ever since, sort of May time for me. So, and the breathwork techniques, funny enough, I was looking at on YouTube at some monk who was doing, the quick breathing through the nose, I don't know what they call it, and things like that, and different techniques of breathing, which I found to be much better than when you just listen to guided meditation and it's, take a deep breath, inhale and then exhale. But I found the other breathing techniques to be very useful in certain situations. So, that sounds all good, to me. Because it's something I have been doing. So, but it's just, you just want something to make you better at it, I guess. Not for an ego purpose, but to better yourself, I guess, or to get you on that path even, further down. Because I am stuck in this rut and I know it. And I've known for a very long time that my purpose on this planet isn't what I'm doing. And I've actually said to a lot of people through my life, I just detest every job I have, not in the fact that I don't give it my all, because I do, but it's just not for me. I've known for a long time, many, many years now. I'm 52, coming up 53. And, from probably my very early 20s, like every job, not that I've had many, but the jobs that I did, I just knew they weren't, this is what, this wasn't my purpose, which is frustrating. But now I'm here, it's, like I say, it's a good place to be, and I just want to progress it further now because, and I know that's where I've got to be. And like I say, crossing over is my next step. But nothing phases me. I'll always have a go at anything. I'm quite a strong-willed person, and
that's the
fear
hero.
doesn't. The fear doesn't concern me. It's like I say, it's all the unrealistic fear in the past that stopped me, from probably progressing, I guess. But this has probably been like a kick up the backside, if I'm honest, to sort of say, look, now's the time to progress this. So that all sounds good.
This is the call to adventure. It's like, okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
this is all
definitely.
there. Really what I've done is I've integrated all of this. So you've got the 7 limbs of yoga, asana, from start, yama, niyama, then asana, pranayama, then pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. That's kind of the fasting type idea. It's drawing your mind from the illusion. Dharana and dhyana, which are the meditative practices, and all of that leads you ultimately to this experience of enlightenment, samadhi, which is not a practice, it's a state of mind where you see at one moment. Samadhi is at one moment. It's like I experience at one moment. It's not conceptual. I can feel it, that I'm one with all other people, with all life, and that's not just a concept. That's something that I deeply feel. That's the enlightened universal experience of enlightenment. So it's all designed to train you to ultimately experience that more and more. And so what I've done is put together all these things in a systematic training program daily, and it's all there for you. You can do it as much or as little as you can. You've got a job, you've got other things on, so you customize it according to what you can do, and it's going to accelerate your journey, because these are universal spiritual practices, based on probably in my view, the most spiritually integrous system, yoga. It's been around for thousands of years. You've got a master teacher in Yeshua, Jesus, I call him Yeshua, who's teaching this non-dual teaching, and it's profound truth that you can then practice and experience through doing these practices every day in quite a systematic, structured way, with a lot of help and support and guidance. And so that has to accelerate your spiritual journey and get you to accelerate on this hero's journey to the ultimate ultimate awakening, ultimate samadhi, which is where we're all headed to. If that's what you want, then this program will help you to get there quite a bit faster and a bit more easily. Maybe some of the obstacles that might have tripped you up, you overcome. So people join the calls, I've seen it, and they're having something, and then it's addressed in that lesson, and the teaching just kind of helps them resolve it, and then they've kind of moved through that. I feel so much better. I left the call and I feel light and I feel free, and so they've just shifted it. Instead of getting stuck in that block, they've moved it on. So just a little overview of this program. It's a facilitated 1-year mind and life transformation process. It's based on this idea of the way of mastery, that you're going to consciously do these practices. Yogic practices are built in there. The idea of immersion learning. So you can really immerse yourself experientially through the practices in learning. It's not just theoretical studying. It's actually learning it experientially. Incorporates the 7 key spiritual practices I just showed you. and the 7 limbs of yoga, which, as I said, is probably the most ancient system for spiritual awakening. And there's these key spiritual practices include live and recorded daily online meditations and discussion sessions, transformational exercises, which we do in the first 6 weeks, solo meditations, breath work, studying A Course in Miracles. It's all integrated into the daily program. So if you follow that, you're going to be doing all of this, and you can pick and choose, what you can do and what you can't do. You customize your program. So it's not like, oh, this is the only way to do it. People do it in many different ways to whatever level they can do it. And the goal is to help you to learn to let go of, all the fear, all the stressful thoughts and emotions whenever they arise. So you can start consistently experiencing some of these benefits I talked about on Monday. Authentic happiness. So you'll know, if you know how to let go of any negative thoughts or emotions, no matter what seems to be happening, then happiness is yours. You can let it go, and you can choose to be happy instead. It's as simple as that. That's the foundation of all of this. And that letting go is the forgiveness, radical forgiveness. Number 2 is just being able to flow in your life. So taking that happiness and being able to maintain that underlying happiness or peace, as we call it, no matter what seems to be happening. You can remain poised. You can enjoy the moment while taking positive and effective action to respond to any situation appropriately. And that's what we called on to do a lot in this world. So this isn't a path we're saying, well, you're just going to sit and meditate all day. So yeah, you're going to do some of that, but then you're going to be busy in your life, and stuff's going to come up. And there are going to be some trials and tests and challenges, and then you're going to respond better because you've trained your mind, and you're in a better state of mind. And so happiness in action is what I call flow, and that feels really good to be in that. And then your purpose kind of unfolds from those two. You experience more happiness and flow in every aspect of your life, then automatically you're finding a sense of higher purpose and meaning in all your daily activities. You're not looking to the future for your purpose. You're going, it's right here, right now. No. I'm happy. I'm in flow. I don't need anything. That's, it's not somewhere in the future, which is for a lot of people a revelation. It's like, okay, it's right here, right now, in the moment. I'm not waiting for my purpose. My purpose is, am I happy now? Am I in flow now? And then, miraculous experiences tend to unfold from that state. And so we can have these moments of ecstatic well-being. You're not always going to feel that way. But happiness and flow kind of are the foundation for really a sense of joyful well-being, ecstatic well-being, where you're just going, wow, I'm experiencing joy. I'm feeling on purpose. I'm living in an extraordinary state. So it's an extraordinary, ordinary life. You're not necessarily doing anything extraordinary, although you may do, but just your daily experience of life becomes quite extraordinary. It's no longer what it was. You've gone out of the normal world into the unknown world. And so, there's some, profound benefits which you start experiencing straight away, as you experienced today. You did the first lesson. I was like, okay, there's a sense of peace, which to track back, that's really what authentic happiness is. Okay, I'm just feeling a deep peace and contentment, and it feels really good. And that's the foundation. If you can always have that, then you're never really unhappy. You have, foundational happiness, they call it. And on the foundational happiness, you build the rest. Fulfilling flow comes from that sense of higher purpose, ecstatic well-being. It all flows from the happiness, and the happiness comes from the letting go. So this idea of letting go becomes primary. You must let go to have happiness. Otherwise, you don't let go. There are going to be many things that seem to sabotage your happiness. And so then you can't flow. And if you're not flowing, how can you find fulfillment or any sense of higher purpose or any true well-being? So all of it relies on this one critical skill. The one essential skill is, can you let go or forgive? I prefer the word letting go, because the two words letting go, because it's just more descriptive. It's like, yeah, you're actually letting that emotion, that thought, letting that emotion, letting that energy go. It's leaving you, and you feel that if you really do it, you feel that something has left you and it's gone. And so it's very descriptive of what you're actually doing. So then it opens the way to this cascade of, really amazing benefits. And you experience those straight away. There's no need to wait years. You can experience them daily. So every day becomes like a miniature version of this awakening. I look at well, let me just go through this briefly. So the Art of Letting Go program is the course starts on Sunday the 5th of February. So if you wanted to wait, you don't feel ready yet, you can wait until next year. We start at day one. It's a 6-week introductory course. It's got all the transformational exercises and processes to Sunday the 19th of March. So it's a 6-week program, which is then the introduction to the 1-year program. If you like the course, you might want to continue the whole program. But if you want to dive in now, I mean, it's quite a long time till February. So you're most welcome to jump in now and do a 3-week free trial. It's all there for you. You'll get an email every day. You'll get a Telegram message every day if you join Telegram. I see you're not on Telegram. So if you want to do it, I advise you join Telegram, and daily live sessions, and jump into the program, and you'll get a feel for it. In 3 weeks, you'll have a sense of, whether this is something that could work sustainably for you. So Monday to Friday, 12:30, and Sundays at 8:30. Sessions last 2 to 3 hours. You can join for as long as you like. And there's 6 live Zoom sessions per week. So it's an error. 5 or 6. Sometimes I don't manage to do a Sunday, but definitely 5 in a week. Material which I also record, so you get to listen to it if you're not there. And I just use the makers. So really it comes down to, you're the hero, and this is a knock. It's like, okay, well, we've had a nice time. Thank you. I've really enjoyed the chatting. It's like, well, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to go with it? Will you go down the rabbit hole of your own mind to find your true self? And so every day, that's what I was going to mention, every day becomes kind of a miniature version of this. So you can have a challenge, you can have a letting go experience where the ego dies to an extent, and then an insight comes, and that's the at-one-ment. And then you return to your world with, a greater understanding and wisdom. So each day is like a miniature version of the hero's journey, which takes you on the longer term hero's journey, which can take several years to unfold to the ultimate goal of knowing yourself, who you really are in truth. So I mean, sounds like you're very much ready for this. Just
Absolutely.
Go for it. That's my advice. I'm not. There is a cost for the program when after the first 3 weeks, but first 3 weeks is absolutely free. There's no obligation. If you don't want to carry on, that's quite fine. I give you all the material. You can download it freely. So just give it a go. Jump in tomorrow if it resonates, and just let me know. I'll add you to my mailing list. And
definitely.
And then you start receiving emails every morning. I send an email and a Telegram message every morning.
So joining now, Jonathan, what would that mean in terms? So obviously the course starts next year in February, the 6-week course. But if I was to jump in now, am I missing anything, or?
No, because you'll get the 6-week course next year if you choose to continue.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
It's part of the 1-year program. So the idea is you cycle through it. And I can only really, because of the nature of the program, I can't run it more than once a year, because I'm doing daily sessions and we're on like less than 220. So I decided, well, it's just once a year, and if you want to jump in now, it resonates with you, jump in now. You're less than 220, but the truth's universal. So you'll get benefit from joining now. And then when you get to day one next year, that's then, the introduction. And we start at lesson one, day one, and off you go with it, and then you'll learn it then. So the truth is circular, it's holographic. So if you start now, it's fine. If it resonates with you. If it doesn't, and you want to wait till February, that's okay. You could wait. You could do your 3-week free trial, first 3 weeks of February. I don't mind when you take it, but I'd
wait. Yeah, I'd do the 3-week trial now, Jonathan. Yeah. But if you want to send me all the details on the cost and everything as well, that'd be great.
Well, there's no cost for the first 3 weeks, so just join.
So what's the cost afterwards? Is that just yearly or?
So yeah, there's a couple of options. I'll share those with you. Where are we? So 1 year, 1 year program, which is the mastery program. So there's a couple of tiers of this. I call it basic and mastery, basic, intermediate, and mastery. So if you want the full package, you want to attend all the live sessions, get all the recordings. Everyone gets all the recordings, and everyone gets the Telegram messages and the emails. That's pretty reasonable. It's and one live session a week. That is £125 for the year, or £12.50 a month. So you get 2 months free. So that's basic. You're not joining many live sessions. That's a starting point. If you like it, you want to join more live sessions, up to 3 live sessions a week. It's £25 a week, or £250 for the year. Or if you want the full package, which allows you unlimited access to any of the live sessions, £50 a month, or £500 a year. So I've tried to keep it pretty reasonable. I don't think it's the kind of content reasonable. You're getting if you use it. There's a lot of content, a lot of material compared with some other programs.
I mean, probably the only thing I obviously with the live sessions, work is a problem. Well, at the moment, I'm only available in the evening. Because I work in the day. But no, that seems very reasonable.
Listen to the recordings then. So if people can't join in the day, you get the recording. You can listen to that whenever on your. If you've got a commute, you can listen to it when you're commuting home in your car or train or whatever. You can listen to it in the evening. You could say, okay, I'll do the session where I listen to it. Beauty of audio is you can listen while you're doing something else. You could be going for a walk or cooking or washing up. All this kind of time where you're not necessarily learning. So the idea of the 3 weeks is give it a try and see how you can work it into your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will, because this is resonating with me in a big way, because like I said, I've done a lot of reading on other spiritual sides. Like I said, I think I must have read everything, from twin flames to this, that, the other, and none of it sort of seems to resonate. It seems very different, whereas this is more clear. If I want to say the word, it's more truthful, because as you said, it's to the point, which from my point of view, logically, that's how I deal with life in general. It's to the point. I can't tiptoe around, or when people like to butter it up, or make it a love story. It's not what it's all about for me, and I know that. So with the mastery class, I mean, what would it be that you recommend as a? Because obviously, in the 1 year, I mean, are you saying that once you've done that year, you've covered everything, or this is something you carry on doing year after year to make yourself better?
That's for you, but the thing with truth is it's got these deeper levels of significance. So as you do it, you start. I mean, I've been doing A Course in Miracles for 16 years. I'm still not tired of it. I'm still learning.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, because
Now I
it
think
just
we're always
reveals
learning. Yeah.
more of the truth to you.
But
It's endless.
yeah.
And so if you
But
do it,
as a
next year,
basic.
there'll be something else. You do the same lesson, but something else will reveal itself to you. And each live session is different. There's different people on it. There's different things that come up. It's
Mm,
spontaneous.
mm.
So it's
So what's the
yeah.
difference between the AOLG Mastery 1 Year Program Single and
Mhm.
at the top it's AOLG Mastery Course Single, but the subscription is different? Is that
Yeah.
so?
So
Yeah, you've got the one at
so
the top and then the one.
yeah, yeah. So the mastery course, 147 pounds,
For
is
the year, yeah.
no, that's just for the 6 weeks. So that's the
Oh,
six
that's for the
week.
6 weeks, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. That's the 6 week course, and that shouldn't really, I must just check this table. It shouldn't really be a month, because it's. I think, what I've said. Okay, effectively, then your monthly subscription for that 6 weeks is £75. I think that's kind of my logic there. And
Yeah.
then if you decide to do just the course, but if you join the
Yeah.
program, you like it after the next 3 weeks. You join the program, then you get the course as part of the program. So £500, you get
Right, and
the
then
whole
that's
thing.
£50 a month, is it, or 500? So
Yeah,
it's £500 for the year and £50 a month. Yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty reasonable, Jonathan. That
yeah.
is,
Well, I try to make it,
yeah, no, it definitely
reasonable as possible.
resonates with myself. Yeah, if you want to sign me up
Hmm.
for the next 3 weeks, I'm all in.
Yeah, great. Okay, so I've got your email address. I'll add you to
Yeah,
the mailing list. And
brilliant.
I see you're not on Telegram, but what I'd suggest is join Telegram,
When you say
because
Telegram, I don't know what that
Telegram
is.
is
Telegram.
like WhatsApp. It's a
Oh, okay.
messaging app. I'll send you the
Oh,
link,
okay.
or if you just go
Okay,
on
yeah.
to, do you use Apple or Android?
I've got Apple. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got
yeah,
both. I mean, one's my work phone, but my personal phone's so old, I'll probably do it on my work phone, which is an Apple one, so I can
Apple. Yeah,
download the app. Yeah,
yeah. So I'll send you the link for the App Store. You download
yeah.
Telegram, free app, and once it'll notify me that you've registered, I'll add you to the Telegram list, and you'll get daily, a daily message. The what you got today
Hmm.
was a sort of shortened version
Yeah.
of what
Okay.
you'll get as a member. So, for instance, here's the Telegram message for today. You get, here's your quote. At the top, you get some teaching. You get the link to the live session. Then I lead you into the lesson. There it is.
Mm. Yeah.
There's the translated lesson. There's a meditation on it. There's a short breath break. So kind of all there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a resource,
Yeah.
and you've also got it on email. So
Yeah.
just jump in, use the resources, listen to the breath breaks, listen to the meditations in the morning.
Yeah.
Try and follow the programs as much as you can. I mean, what
As
I'd
you can.
advise,
Yeah.
you dive into it and say, look, I'm going to suspend everything else for 3 weeks and just
Yeah.
really
No.
give this its full due,
Yeah.
give it a
Yeah.
full go,
Absolutely.
and then and then see after 3 weeks. And generally, people go, yeah, this resonates. I like it, and I'd like to
Yeah.
continue on an ongoing basis because it resonates
Yeah.
with me, and I know there's more to learn, and I
Yeah.
like the facilitated guidance, and I like the community, and it becomes part of your spiritual practice and path.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Yeah.
designed it
Absolutely.
to be. So uh, yeah, the 3 weeks should give you enough time to test it and see
Great. Yeah.
see if it works for you. And from
Yeah.
what
Definitely.
our conversation today, I'd say it probably will. I think you're in the right
Um.
space in your life, and you've got the right kind of
Yeah.
mindset for A Course in Miracles, because it's very clear, it's not compromising, and some people don't like that. They want to kind of have
Mm,
lots of fudging and ambiguity, and they like the angels and the
mm.
crystals and the twin flame. They
Yeah.
like all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
been in. I just, like, it doesn't really feed my soul. I want pure truth, pure unadulterated truth.
Yeah. That's.
I think you're the same. So I think this program will,
Yeah.
Course in Miracles,
Absolutely.
and this
Yeah.
program will resonate with you. and work for you. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, well,
No, it sounds
welcome
great,
aboard,
Jonathan.
and join
Thank
us.
you.
Join us
Yeah,
if you can. Sometime
I will.
12:30. So that's kind of lunch break. If you can't join for
Yeah.
any of the sessions are 2 to 3 hours. If you can't join for the whole time, join for half an hour and just get a taste of it.
Okay. Yeah.
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 So
It will be a problem. Yeah, because even if I finish my shift and get home for 12:30, what are we? 12:30, 1, 2, 3:30. Yeah, I've got to pick my daughter up from school, so I usually leave around sort of 5 to 3 just
that's
to go
okay.
and pick her up from school.
Oh, that's okay.
But,
We normally finish around 2:30 or 3. So
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, and
Sounds
if you
good.
need to drop off the call, then people do. But yeah, generally by 3 o'clock we done because people can't stay on for longer. So
Yeah.
yeah, 2.5,
Okay.
3 hours. So yeah, if
Yeah,
you
sounds
can
great.
join tomorrow or whenever, then do, because it'll
Yeah,
give you a taste of the
I
live
will.
sessions. You get all the material in the email. I showed you around the email, so make sure you scroll down because there's more stuff in there every
Yeah.
day, and just try and really immerse yourself in it. Do as much as you can
Yeah.
for
No,
that 3 weeks, and
definitely.
you'll get I can guarantee you'll get benefit in 3 weeks. You'll
I've
maybe
already had a
just
benefit
profound
today,
shift.
so you know.
Maybe you'll have some profound shifts, and then
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
like to continue, then
But
great, that'd be amazing.
yeah, definitely, Jonathan. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all in. So
Okay. So thanks very much.
I'll get that Telegram
Yeah.
app on my phone tomorrow, if that's okay, because
Yeah.
I've
No
got to be
problem. As soon as I see you,
up work.
I'll add you. I'll add
Yeah,
you to the mailing list
brilliant.
tonight, and you're on the WhatsApp group. So I'll
Yeah,
send out a shortened version of this to my WhatsApp free subscribers. So
excellent,
you'll get that, and then when you join tomorrow, I'll just add you, and you'll get
brilliant.
these every morning, and then I'll generally send out one in the evening as well, with the link
Good,
to the recording
good
of the
stuff.
day, and often an evening meditation. So you'll get the hang of it. Just kind of see
Yeah,
how it comes to you. The idea is I'm just feeding you
absolutely.
every day. So you got the stuff
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
in, and just respond to
yeah,
that, and don't feel any pressure. A lot of
yeah.
people, oh, I thought there's so much content, it's overwhelming. Well, no, just do what you can.
Do what you can do.
The
Yeah,
whole point
exactly.
is not to get stressed by spiritual practice. That's completely
No,
self-defeating.
that's
So
right. Yeah,
you do what you can, you
absolutely.
fit it into your day as you can,
Yeah.
and if you've done a little bit, you've done a meditation and a breath break, and maybe
Mm.
listen to a bit of recording, it's more than you would have done. So it's all
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds it. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining, and
No,
I hope to
it's been brilliant,
see you
Jonathan.
in the Zoom room again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you have any
Guarantee it.
questions, feel free to reach out to me, just message me
Yeah,
privately. You're welcome to ask
that's
anything.
brilliant.
Yeah.
No, that's excellent,
Okay.
Jonathan.
So
That's
your
really
free
good.
trial
It's
starts tomorrow, and you got three
brilliant.
weeks, so that'll take us into
Yeah,
first week of October,
week of
around the
October.
7th.
Yeah.
Around the 7th of
Hmm.
October, we'll have a chat, and you'll know. I mean, it's no pressure. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. But
No,
hopefully
no.
you'll feel
Yeah,
inspired to do it. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I was drawn here, and that was my first time on Monday. So, if you want to
yeah.
call it synchronicity, who knows? But
Okay. So it was the
yeah,
first time you joined one of Linda's classes.
yeah, that was the first time I went looking for a spiritual group quite a
Okay.
while ago. Just couldn't find any locally where I live.
Hmm.
Couldn't really find anyone to speak to about all of this.
Hmm. Where
And
are you based,
Linda's
actually?
group, I'm in Swindon.
Swindon. Okay. So that's
Yeah,
where
it's
South
Wiltshire. It's in between
Wiltshire. Okay.
Bristol and Reading
Okay.
on the
Okay.
M4. But I used to live in Reading. Well, we used to all live in Reading, but we moved to Swindon due to our
Okay.
work. But I now
Okay.
work back in Reading, so it's a bit of a trek up the motorway. But yeah, I tried finding some sort of group spiritually, but couldn't really find any. And Linda's popped up,
Hmm.
based in Oxford, I think she is, Didcot or somewhere like that. So I
Hmm.
joined that, and that was the first time that I entered that sort of group, which was good. But yeah, here we are. So I'll take that as a
That's the hero's
blessing.
journey. That's how it works.
Yeah,
Like a call to
yeah. There you
adventure. You
go.
follow the
So
call.
Absolutely. And
then you
that's how I
take the
look
next
at
step
life
and the
now.
next step, and it all just
Yeah,
unfolds
absolutely.
in quite a
Yeah.
nice kind
And
of
that's how I'm
synchronistic
taking
way.
it.
So
It is.
yeah, thank you.
So yeah,
I appreciate your
but
time,
it's
and
been brilliant, Jonathan.
yeah,
I've loved listening to you. And what you have read out to me, like you say, the way that you've changed it. If you want to say it's layman's terms, then that's absolutely fine. But it is a bit, like say, forgiveness and changing it to letting go. Yeah, I could resonate with that straight away. Well, I think it does. And also when you're sort of, like I said, when I was doing meditation, they were saying, oh, you've got to forgive yourself. And it almost makes you feel like, well, I don't know, like you're some sort of God that goes around forgiving people. And it didn't really make much sense to me. But the way you've reworded it and letting it go, it makes more sense to me, by putting that. So yeah, it's been enlightening tonight, Jonathan. So it's been really good.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining, and I'm glad we had a one-on-one, because it was obviously meant to be. So
yeah, to be honest, it's been quite good having a one-on-one.
I had a few other bookings, but no one else showed up. So.
Well, maybe they'll turn up at some point in their life.
Maybe they will.
But,
well, when you're ready,
yeah, exactly. You know when you're ready. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Okay then. We don't think we have time to do a meditation.
No, I've got to be up early, Jonathan, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So I've got to go
shift work and everything. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks very much. And,
I'll definitely.
I hope to
thank
see you again
Jonathan.
Soon. Join us in one of
you will.
live sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Thanks ever so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Nick. Namaste.
God bless. And you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.